family, this is Marley K. I have a story for you, and it is about our food supply. It's really important because it's about wild caught fish. I am an avid fisherman, and I love saltwater and freshwater fishing. So this story struck me for a number of reasons. One, because as we begin to wrap our minds around the fact that our livestock will soon be injected, if they're not already being injected, with the lollipop and other things that they want us to have, nanotechnology, so that they can monitor us. They found ways for us to consume these things without our permission. And we already have genetically modified vegetables and fruit. We're eating farm raised fish. And, now they're telling us that if we eat one wild fish per month, it is the equivalent of drinking tainted water. And so basically, we have no recourse. Everything that we consume now is dirty, according to the powers that be. And they're not doing anything to clean it up. Their alternative is to create new ways for us to eat while they track us, and then don't do anything to rectify the problems that made the water dirty and that made the fish filthy to begin with. Now, I will say for the record, I'll take my chances with a dirty fish, but the way that they are putting stuff in the ocean and putting stuff in the sky, and it's raining down into our water tables, lakes, ponds. You have snow that is melting that has stuff in it. And so over the last couple of months, they've been doing these experiments, and you can look it up. I put maybe a link or two in the description, but I'm going to encourage you to do your own research, because they've really been getting on us about spreading misinformation. I'm just telling you that there is public information out there, depending on the search engine you use, that will give you the information about the weather modification system that the military and researchers have been using for a long time to control the weather. They use stuff to put into the atmosphere. And when they create this artificial stuff, it rains back down on us. It comes down, and what can you do? There, you have no recourse. So it's in our water table. Excuse me. It's in our food. The animals are drinking it. The fish are drinking it. They're swimming in it. And we have absolutely no recourse. So I'm saying all that to say we should really be aware of what is going on. And all this stuff is coming out at the same time that we're getting ready to have an economic collapse. We're having food shortages right at the time when people are going to be trying to fight and figure out how they're going to eat, how they're going to survive, so on and so forth. You have them coming out with, oh, this is bad. This is bad. You can't eat this. We might put some stuff in here so when you eat it, we can track you. Like, it's just wild. All the things that we're being inundated with. So I'm going to read this story to you. It's from phys.org. So I guess it's physics.org. I'm not sure what this is. So I guess it's physics.org. This article came out on January 17th, and it is under the Home, Earth, Environment category. I will put a link to the story in the description so that you can also read it for yourself. Eating one wild fish, the same as month of drinking tainted water. So now they're saying if you eat one fish, it's like drinking a whole month's worth of dirty water. Come on now. Eating one freshwater fish caught in a river or a lake in the United States is equivalent of drinking a month's worth of water contaminated with toxic forever chemicals, new research said on Tuesday. The invisible chemicals called PFAS, so I'll just say PFAS, were first developed, which means man made them, in the 1940s to resist water and heat, and now used in items such as nonstick pans, textiles, fire suppression foams, and food packaging. And I used to work in manufacturing, so I'm well aware of these chemicals. They are in the water tables all around where we live, and we have high rates of cancer. In any place, you live in the deep South, we were a manufacturing hub before our jobs were outsourced because of NAFTA. And now, we're dealing with the impact of living in these environments where, people had to work for these plants. And a lot of people have passed away because they developed cancer from these chemicals that were in the products. We made cloth, and the cloth was treated with these chemicals. These chemicals were in the water table. And so, a lot of people were sick from consuming them. We also were told that nonstick pans were safe and good for us. Of course, they were not. And same with food packaging. We have plastic bowls and styrofoam and whatever. We've been putting them in the microwave. We have been warming those things up. We have been drinking out of them. They had chemicals in them as well. And so we have just been inundated with a couple of generations of bad products. And those products were placed into landfills. The chemical makers use water, and they, of course, release their dirty water into the communities where their plants were, and so on and so forth. So it's just a revolving door of nothing. And it just confirms that with each industrial revolution, we've done more damage to the environment. And the people who are responsible, the inventors, the scientists, and the corporations, never pay a price. Like, we're always forced to pay the price. And here we are now, we won't even be able to eat food. So we're gonna probably die. But anyway, yay for us. But the indestructibility of PFAS, per and polyfluoroalkyl substances, means the pollutants have built up over time in the air, soil, lakes, rivers, food, drinking water, and even our bodies. So basically, there's no way for us to escape this stuff, according to them. So you might as well eat, drink, and be merry, because tomorrow you will die. Just keeping it real. There have been growing calls for stricter regulations for PFAS. And you see, they want stricter regulations, meaning corporations are still using these products, even though they know that they harm the air, soil, lakes, rivers, food, drinking water, and our bodies. So, they're telling us, we're doomed, and nobody cares. Your politicians, they don't care. They know this. They don't care. There have been growing calls for stricter regulation for PFAS, which have been linked to a range of serious health issues, including liver damage, high cholesterol, reduced immune responses, and several kinds of cancer. To find out PFAS contamination in locally caught fish, a team of researchers searched more than 500 samples from rivers and lakes across the United States between 2013 and 2015. The median level of PFAS in the fish was 9,500 nanograms per kilogram, according to the new study published in the journal Environmental Research. Nearly 3/4 of the detected forever chemicals was PFOS, or I say FOS, one of the most common and hazardous of the thousands of PFAS. Eating just one freshwater fish equaled drinking water with PFOS at 48 parts per trillion a month, the researchers calculated. Last year, the Environmental Protection Agency lowered the level of PFOS in drinking water. It considers safe to be 0.02 parts per trillion. The total PFAS level in the freshwater fish was 278 times higher than what was found in commercially sold fish, the study said. And they called this the greatest chemical threat. David Andrews, a senior scientist at the nonprofit Environmental Working Group, which led the research, told AFP he grew up catching and eating fish. I can no longer look at fish without thinking about PFAS contamination, said Andrews, one of the study's authors. The findings were particularly concerning due to the high impact on disadvantaged communities that consume fish as a source of protein or for social or cultural reasons, he added. So this means indigenous communities like the Native Americans who live on reservations and usually have fresh water, lakes and rivers and streams running through their properties or reservations. Their water is contaminated, and it's not because they did anything. Even like they say disadvantaged communities, you think about poor African American communities that build, have often homes built in areas where there is contamination due to toxic dumping of waste, or because there are plants, up away from those communities, and that water gets into the water table, comes downstream into those communities and leaks into the water tables of those people. And it's not just poor, disadvantaged communities. There are also other communities out west that have had the same issue. The problem is America, provides cover for these corporations, and they allow them to continue operating despite the chemicals being produced making us ill. So we don't really have any recourse. Our politicians don't care about us, period. This research makes me incredibly angry because companies that made and used PFAS contaminated the globe and have not been held responsible. Just what I said. Patrick Byrne, an environmental pollution researcher at the UK's Liverpool John Moores University, not involved in the research, said PFAS are probably the greatest chemical threat the human race is facing in the 21st century. So you're going to try to tie this to climate change. This study is important because it provides the first evidence for widespread transfer of PFAS directly from fish to humans, he told AFP. Like, even if you don't eat fresh fish, hey, if you use the microwave in plastic bowls or you eat stuff stored in plastic bowls, it's just so many ways we've been already exposed to this stuff. You work in environments where chemicals are used. I worked in manufacturing. I live in a manufacturing community for probably 2 decades. It's just a stupid remark, but anyway. Andrews called for much more stringent regulation to bring an end to all non-essential uses of PFAS, which is interesting because that means if you can use it, you can use it for whatever reason. It can be just because it's cheap, but it doesn't necessarily have to be essential. And because we don't know how products are made and the purposes for these chemicals being used in the first place, we're kind of at a disadvantage. The study comes after Denmark, Germany, the Netherlands, Norway, and Sweden submitted a proposal to ban PFAS to the EU's European Chemical Agency on Friday. The proposal, one of the broadest in the EU's history, comes after the 5 countries found that PFAS were not adequately controlled and block-wide regulation was needed, the agency said in a statement. So they'll keep doing research. They'll keep giving money for research. They'll keep doing these reports, because I've heard this story before, and nothing will be done. So at the end of the day, they're telling us our water is dirty, our fish is dirty, our soil is dirty, we're dirty, we're all sick and contaminated, we're going to die. The corporations can continue to do it, and nobody's going to do nothing about it. So I just wanted you to know that if you like wild caught fish, as I do, you have a horrible future coming, because we won't be able to eat this fish. And if you choose to eat it, you'll be eating it at your own risk. I just don't even know what to say. We are just guinea pigs at this point. And nothing is going to get better because everybody's government have sold them out. So all I can say is good luck, people. You know, pray over your food before you eat it. Look to the Most High for guidance on what we should and should not consume. I'm just going to be honest. I'm definitely believing in whatever is wild and natural over anything that they make. And you know who they are. If you've been following me for any significant amount of time, if you are African American, you should know who they are too. They are not going to trick me into eating any of their man-made concoctions. So with that said, be wary of wild caught, but also be super wary of anything that is farm raised or, you know, food that you can't source, which includes stuff that we buy at the grocery store. So when you can, shop local, buy local, try to travel to places that sell fresh seafood. And even then, you still can't guarantee that that seafood is going to be properly sourced. So, you know, we just have to do the best we can. Thankfully, I'm a fisherman, so I know the difference between fresh and farm raised, wild caught and farm raised. And so fresh and not fresh, I can tell the difference, but a lot of people cannot. So if you cannot, I would advise you to take someone to the store with you who knows about fish before you purchase it, because you may be overpaying for poor quality fish or fish that has been farm raised and is not of good quality. So with that said, please like the video, share it, subscribe to my channels, including my Rumble and Odyssey, in the event I am yeeted from YouTube. Thank you so much for sticking around. Please leave me your feedback below if you've seen any differences in the quality of the fish. If you've noticed, if you do fish and you notice that, you know, fish don't bite the way that they used to, or, you know, your favorite fishing hole, the fish are gone, let us know so that we can kind of get an idea and help other people who are, you know, in different places around the country who may be wondering about wild caught fish, especially since we all may have to fish for our survival. And it seems that they're killing everything that we might need to take care of ourselves. So with that said, I'm out.